Hello, my name is Mark Tucker, and I'm a volunteer for the AFFEW organization. And I'm here with Mary Fortier, and she just gave a wonderful presentation on electric vehicles for the Earth Day AFFEW celebration. So I was asked to ask Mary to answer some questions, and so we'll start with a couple of things. Mary, is there anything you want to say right off the bat before I get to my questions?
Well, thank you, Mark. And as we know, the theme for Earth Day is in 2024 is the planet versus plastics. And what we wanted to accomplish with the presentation was to pull together the commonality between producing energy and producing plastics, and how at the end of the day they both go through a high temperature refining process and result in some greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. They're all hanging out there up in the upper atmosphere, and the greenhouse effect is helping to heat up the planet. So our idea is that a transition to not only renewables, but the use of electric vehicles will help in the overall reduction and keep us on track with Earth Days in the future.
So the first question here, Mary, is what changes have you witnessed during the EV technology boom?
Essentially, it's across the board. It's a global phenomena. Each global region in the world recognizes the problems we're having with the greenhouse effect and the need to move to renewable energy, producing most of the energy required for electric vehicles. And we've seen a change in the material strategy for battery cells. We've seen an increase in the supply base, and the business and the management of electric vehicles and battery materials, and real changes in governments and how they incentivize the use of and the change from a gasoline vehicle to an electric vehicle.
Yeah. So following up a little bit more, why are these changes important?
Well, I'll loop right back to what we focused on in the presentation, and that is the reduction of greenhouse gases. As we know, the temperature across the globe is rising. And even though we've had inroads to reducing some of the greenhouse gases, the temperature rise is still hanging out due to a radiative forcing effect. So they're important to put together the elements that are required to make the change to electric vehicles.
Yeah, it's when you look at the bigger picture and you realize that some of our friends that are driving electric vehicles are actually helping with climate change. You don't think of it that they're actually helping to lower or possibly lower the temperature of the oceans and less hurricanes or density of them. So it's a huge, huge endeavor to get people to be driving electric vehicles. Another question. What will it take for society to change from gas to electric vehicle?
Yes, so there's a lot of myths that need to be busted. And from an advocacy perspective, we're out there trying to educate folks on the fact that switching to an electric vehicle won't hurt the amount of mileage you have on a daily basis. The vehicles require the same safety standards as a conventional vehicle. And the charging stations are being added to our roads and added to our society through changes in electric vehicles, in fleet vehicles from gasoline to electric, and down the line. Future conceptual electric vehicles are also being designed for vertical takeoff, and a lot of additional rail and autonomous vehicles will all be electric in the future to help with improving transportation needs for a growing global population, and at the same time reducing that greenhouse gas effect, which in turn keeps temperatures lower and improves climate change.
Wow, that's a lot. Uh, you mentioned electric or flying motorcycles. Is that something that's coming? I mean, when I saw that, I went, wow. Could you just talk a little bit about that? Because I'm thinking, there's the people who are, oh, I need a high performance vehicle and I need some, excitement in my life. I thought, wow, there it is.
Well, I think some of our future society planners recognize that a lot of the technology that we're developing now can be translated over to any type of mobility. So if you think about it, 20 years ago, we didn't know we'd have such a populace of electric automobiles. And now you look at, well, what's the future of transportation as the globe gets smaller and the reduction in fossil fuels is required. Let's start to translate some of that technology over to some areas of transportation that might still be fun, but then will also enable society to collaborate at a more electrified level.
Yeah, I kept hearing the terms fun, and this is a beautiful vehicle. So there's a lot of nice aesthetics that are going along with this change. Uh, what was your goal with respect to this EV presentation today for AFFEW?
The goal today was to help or to assist folks in understanding the connection between greenhouse gas effect and the rise in EV adoption. And the point was for everyone to come away with learning something new that they can use to make a better decision on their next step in electrification.
One thing you mentioned is that you could go and try a test drive an EV. How do you do that?
Well, certainly you can visit a local dealer and let them know what your desire is to test an EV. And if they don't have one readily available, they'll certainly let you know when there is. Another neat way to do that might be to rent a vehicle or to find folks, maybe through an organization like AFFEW, that'll allow you to take a ride, take a test ride. As you said, they're fun, they're convenient, they're stylish. Heads turn when you're in an EV.
Well, my last question is something I've been thinking about. A lot of times I hear people say, well, there's problems with EVs and it takes a lot of material and there's still a lot of carbon being put into the air. But what strikes me is if we don't move forward, even though with these problems, we'll never get to a better place. So staying with the status quo just doesn't seem to be an option. What comments can you say about that?
Well, you're absolutely correct. And I think that our leadership and governments and local influencers recognize this as well. So to get things started, the incentives are there. It's incentivized to adopt an electric vehicle at every region of the globe.